Hello and welcome. Thank you for attending my Capstone Symposium presentation. My name is Palmer Holt, and my research poster is titled Urbanization or Gentrification, Unpacking the Benefits and Challenges of Link Light Rail. Over the summer, I worked with Seattle Subway Foundation, a nonprofit public transit advocacy group that is currently working to maintain the voter-approved Sound Transit 3 expansion plan through social media outreach and in-person awareness campaigns. The purpose behind this research was to help Seattle Subway explore the commercial and residential impacts of expanding Link Light Rail service in Seattle and the various ways these impacts could be mitigated. For a little background, we live in a very car-centric city. Cars are noisy, they present a significant hazard to both drivers and pedestrians, especially children, people with reduced vision or hearing, and the elderly. And it's also no secret that cars contribute a significant portion of greenhouse gases here in Seattle, and it sits at about 60% of our total emissions. Public transportation projects like the Link can ameliorate many of these problems, and they are very popular in Seattle despite the long project timelines. Although research and data does show that light rail can contribute to residential and commercial displacement when property values and costs increase following development. So for my research question, I decided I wanted to explore what the benefits and challenges of expanding Link Light Rail really are here in the city of Seattle. I used several methods for conducting this research. First, I investigated past environmental impact studies, especially the one on the Sound Transit website. May Langford, my internship partner, and I also performed site visits to the proposed Finney location on the Seattle Subway Vision Map. You see it over in figures 1 and 4, and we'll get a closer look at those later. And we attended various farmers markets and tabling events where we discussed transit issues at length with the guidance of Seattle subway representatives and experienced transit advocates. Finally, a literature review was conducted alongside this internship that focused on how Link Light Rail might impact economically vulnerable residents and businesses located along its development path. Also, the various strategies cities can take to reduce those impacts were assessed. So moving on to our results section, we're going to start with the benefits because light rail is a net positive for many communities, including low-income ones. Trading cars for trains reduces traffic on the road, greenhouse gas emissions in our atmosphere, as well as ambient air pollutants like nitrous oxide and ozone. Public transit can also reduce incessant noise pollution and urban heat island effects associated with automobiles. In figure 2, you can see that one light rail train moves as many passengers as 600 cars. Fewer cars means fewer traffic accidents and deaths, and using public transportation also translates to better health outcomes as it requires much more active travel, like walking up and down stairs or standing in the rail car. Walking around your neighborhood also increases social opportunities, making cities safer, and increases community cohesion, which translates to better mental health outcomes as well. Now on to the challenges. Research shows that light rail has been known to put gentrification pressures on historically underserved populations like those in South Seattle and Chinatown International District. Gentrification is when neighborhood character is changed to attract wealthy new residents, thereby replacing existing residents through rising costs and demolitions. Figure 3 shows data from the Puget Sound Regional Council demonstrating that 25% of movers surveyed in 2019 were displaced by gentrification pressures like increasing rent, income changes, and building demolition. This is not necessarily the fault of the link, but it can exacerbate this issue. During the construction process, accessibility for residents, patrons, and business owners can be greatly reduced, resulting in financial insolvency for many small businesses and reduced quality of life for many residents. Dust, debris, loud machinery, closed sidewalks, and other environmental disturbances are very common during these lengthy construction periods, and these can last as long as 8 to 10 years. Finally, stakeholders such as private developers, politicians, community coalitions, and even large corporations like Amazon often delay or change voter-approved projects through litigation, organized resistance, and private backroom deals. And I know that was a lot, so let's just move on to our third column for next steps and implications. My literature review and experiences with Seattle Subway enlightened me to some potential solutions to these problems. The first may be obvious: we need more funding for light rail projects. Figure 4 shows a Seattle Subway vision map for expanding Link Light Rail on the right, and the very modest service map for 2024 posted by Sound Transit on the left. As you can see, there's a lot of potential for expansion, and this could be achieved through expanding some of the funding mechanisms used by the city, like increasing property taxes for its most wealthy residents. Next, during construction periods, new regulations could be created to maintain accessibility and residential comfort. Financial assistance and forgivable loans could help reduce displacement and maintain community cohesion. And finally, more research could be done on the best practices for advocacy and outreach to help organizations like Seattle Subway push for responsible light rail expansion and increased voter participation. Climate change does loom over our collective future. And in order to decarbonize our transportation sector, we need to develop mass transit systems like Link Light Rail. And we can do this without increasing the economic burdens for our most vulnerable communities. Thank you very much for listening. I'd like to thank my mom, Seattle Subway Director Arthur Bacchus, my site supervisor Keith Kyle, faculty advisor Manish Shalana, my research partner May Langford, Professor Eli Wheat, and the rest of the POE cohort. I was just wondering if you guys have any questions or comments or feedback.